He's saying namaste after cleaning up the Beltway. Elon has given his exit interview as he gets ready to depart the Department of Government Efficiency. But the billionaire bad boy insisted his transition doesn't mean the DOGE mission is over. He said, quote, DOGE is a way of life, like Buddhism. Buddha isn't alive anymore. You wouldn't ask the question, who would lead Buddhism? Some guy named Jesse got an exclusive with Musk and big balls.
Is DOGE just getting started? This is a long-term enterprise.
It's a long-term enterprise because if we take our eye off the ball, the waste and fraud will come roaring back.
They can DOGE when Democrats get back in power.
We're trying to have it be such that the funding is removed, so the grants are gone. So there's a lot of work required to restart the waste and fraud.
Do these people not respect taxpayer money?
I mean, there's no incentive to if you work in the government. I think the incentives will always decide the outcomes.
Yes.
And, you know, the way that the payment system is set up is if you ask for money, like, you're just going to get it.
Wow, big balls has big hair. But DOGE's greatest legacy could be making it fashionable to cut government waste. Check out Greasy trying to take credit.
I could have easily come in here with sunglasses and, chainsaws. You know where I'm going. We're DOGE, but better. And we've been DOGE, but better for literally 6 years.
Literally better. Jesse, it is a good question. Will DOGE continue with the same momentum and excitement without Musk helming it?
He doesn't want to leave. He's having a lot of fun. He might dial it back a little bit, but he's having the time of his life. He likes these guys that work for him a lot. They had a pizza party before I got there. They were listening to music. He was dancing. And there's like a military camaraderie with this team. And I kept on asking him, is this like the end for you? And he's like, where'd you hear that? And I said, well, I heard it in the media. He said, where? Where'd you hear it from? In the media. He said, well, who? I don't think he's accepted that he's leaving. And even if he does take a step back, he'll still be there. He's so involved in this, and that's a good thing because they're doing a lot of work.
Yeah, Judge, the Dems are offering no solution for this impending financial collapse if we don't cut the debt. But they'd rather just lie that he's cutting actual benefits. Why don't they just admit that they should get on board?
Look, only the Dems would act like saving $160 billion doesn't mean a damn thing. Only the Dems would rather hate on Musk than benefit the American people. And only the Dems would predict that there would be all of this trauma and tragedy, that this one's going to lose their Social Security and this one's going to lose their Medicaid. None of that happened. It's all fear-mongering. And, I believe that Musk doesn't want to go. He's also a special government employee after 130 days. But I'm still not clear if those 130 days have to be consecutive, and whether or not he gets more days. But that's really not the point. But Greasy Gavin getting up there and saying, I can do DOGE better. And when he honestly started with the sunglasses, I thought he was talking about Biden. But, he says he's going to balance the budget in California. They're bleeding cash in California. In 2023, there was a $46 billion $32 billion deficit. A year later, there's a double $46 billion deficit. Newsom needed to borrow $6 billion to keep Medicaid afloat. Medicaid, as we know, we got an additional 2 million illegals on Medicaid. And everybody says, we don't want to take it away. Well, I actually believe if you come to this country, you should be able to provide for yourself if you don't want to work. Otherwise, go home. But that's just me.
Jessica, that is another achievement of DOGE. When you have Democrats getting on board by saying we can do it better, that's a win. I mean, we're not, Republicans aren't saying, hey, we're doing this and you aren't. We're saying we're doing this. Why don't you do it too? And having Gavin say that is kind of a victory for everybody.
Sure, but Gavin is just returning to the legacy of DOGE, which is Bill Clinton and Al Gore's from the 90s when they did it the right way and they actually consulted with Congress.
Who
and they
cares who's first, Jessica?
You just said you want the win.
No, I'm happy that everybody's
Fine.
joining.
Kumbaya.
Exactly.
Namaste.
Yes.
Namaste, my friends. Why don't Democrats care about the debt? Go back through history and look at who adds more to the debt. And it is the Republicans. Look at the reconciliation bill that they want to push through. 4.5 trillion. Donald Trump added more than everyone.
But we can wait for that.
Yeah, let's wait for it. Let's also talk about the clear failure of DOGE based on their own set goals. We started at 2 trillion. Then we moved to 1 trillion. Now we're at 160 billion.
For now, right now. It keeps adding up.
Well, it is a problem. You want to always compare things.
I didn't see Congress doing that.
If you want to, which you always do, to compare this to private sector standards, if you hired McKinsey to come in and to cut 2 trillion, then they said, oh, we'll get you 1 billion. Then they say, we'll get you 160 billion. You'd say, you're not doing a very good job. And also, maybe you were spreading lies about what's actually going on in the federal government.
$1.6 billion a day so far.
But the real story of DOGE is that Elon Musk has $38 billion in government contracts, has not had a penny of his money touched while he's going around cutting other people's contracts. And there was a new congressional report out this week that found that he was up for $2.37 billion in potential fines across 11 agencies. And what has he been doing? He has been cutting the people who are investigating him. If that doesn't smell like corruption, I don't know what does.
He's up for a fine. Let's make sure that he gets a fine before you start saying he's up for a fine.
If you get rid of the investigator, you were an investigator,
I
right?
certainly was.
Okay,
and
so
you
if there's
don't
a
make an
potential crime
accusation
and then
unless you have the
fire,
evidence to prove it.
But it's all laid out, by the way, in the pages of the
First
Gray
of all,
Lady.
he had all those government contracts before he even went into DOGE.
And he makes, I think, $8 million a day while 20,000 federal workers are getting fired. Well, Head Start program. He's like,
Kaylee, please respond to Jessica's falsehoods, a litany of them.
So one of my favorite words is facts. In fact, if you go into my office, I have a big sign that says facts. It was my moniker at the podium. Yeah, they made shirts with facts and Kaylee's face on it. Anyway, AP fact check. Trump, here's the claim. Trump ran up the debt by more than any president in American history. AP, not a friend of the administration. We can all agree on that. Remember, Caroline got them out of the press room, at least in the events that are covered in the Oval Office. AP's assessment, no friend of Trump. That's incorrect. The debt incurred during the Trump era was very high, but in terms of raw dollars, the total debt rose more under former President Obama, with Trump in second place, which is why you didn't mention Obama.
And plus, we had COVID.
Yes, plus we had COVID.
Yeah.
Plus, another fact bomb for Gavin Newsom. You brought up the deficit numbers. The debt, $1.6 trillion in debt in California when you look at unfunded liabilities, $125,000 per household in California, bigger than the GDP of every country in the world except 13. That's the debt in California, Gavin. So, boom again.
Boom.
boom.
Keep going.
Felix, she
I'm not
doesn't
done
have
yet.
anymore. She's done.
All right. Well, then we'll move on, shall we?
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.